Welcome to the Speed Track, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl, and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in a logical order. And this is a Speed Track. The Speed Track is a series of short videos designed to get you to create a meaningful application very quickly. And it's time to use those tools. Time to get that workbench and build. And it's thanks to our plan that we can jump right in and design our form with all the components. We can just use our tools. In this video, we'll use the toolbox to pull out labels, text boxes, buttons, and a listbox control. All of these items will be placed on our form. Now, each of these items are discussed in more detail in the basics section of my website. We'll get in that later. Right now, we'll just learn to use them. By using them here, we'll get you prepped to see how they work and how they can be modified. Building this form is actually pretty easy. That's why I decided to go with this application for the Speed Track. It's a worthwhile application that can apply to many needs. So let's have fun building this thing. Here's the video. Okay, so this is our form. We've actually created a basic form in Visual Studio. And what I want to do now is I want to put the components that we put in our picture, our what we're trying to do, our plan together, and try to get this in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my toolbox, and go to my common controls. I'm going to be certainly using a label. So I'll grab a label right here and bring it on the screen, and this is going to be my number of records. So I'm going to go down here to the text area and say number of records. And put a semicolon on the end of that thing and put it up there like that. So it looks like that. I'm also going to change the font on this. So I'm going to go to the properties here, and there's a font property up here that I can now make it bold, and I can change the size of the font as well. I might make it a 10. Let's try a 10 and see if that looks good. Man, it looks okay. What does a 12 look like? Number. Well, we learned we spelled number wrong, so we can fix that up real quickly. But 12 looks like it's going to be fine, so we'll just go in there. I'm going down to the text property here, and I'm going to change that MB here, so it's looking good here now. It's properly set up. So our number of records is going to be somewhere on the form up here, and we're going to have another label that's going to display the number of records. So we're going to bring that up here and put it about here. And we're going to also change the font on it, so it's got so it's looking the same as the font we're seeing on the label before it. So we'll change it to bold, and we'll set it to a 12 as well. And then we're going to do a few more things with this. Then we're also going to make it an auto size false on this thing. So we are going to control the size of this particular label by doing that. We're also going to give it a back color, a border style. So I'm going to make a fixed single style, so it actually has a box around it. We don't need the data that's inside there now, so we'll go ahead and go down to the, got to make sure we're on the label itself. That has to have the focus. And we can go down here, we can actually delete this label to name, so we're not seeing that anymore. So now we've got our picture look, and since it's only going to contain a number, it's probably going to be maybe about this big, something of that nature. We're going to be doing that a number of things. So we're going to basically copy this guy down here, and we're going to say to this guy, since we already notice that the fonts, the properties we change stay when you make a copy of something, so you don't have to worry about the fonts and the boldness and all the rest of that stuff. It kind of stays there as you're going. We're going to call enter data HERE here is what we want to call this guy. And where's the enter should be capitalized on the E here. So let's make that a capital E. That looks pretty good. Enter data here. Looks fine. We're going to use the text box to actually put the data in. So I'm going to go down here for a text box. Text box is used for input of your data, where labels are used for output. So we'll crack that thing. It looks very, very similar to a label, except it's already got the borders around it. We want to change this guy's font to the font we've been using for all the rest of them so far. So we'll make it bold, and we'll make it a nice 12 again, so it's going to match nicely in here. And it has no data in it. You'll just see it sitting up here. We're going to kind of make this long because we're going to be able to put in some data there. Who knows how much data we're actually going to put in. We'll grab a bunch of that stuff. We could use full names. We could use grocery items, whatever we wanted to do. We're also going to add a list box to this thing. So we're going over to the list box. We'll learn all about the list box in a bit. It's a way of containing a bunch of pieces of data that you've got in here. We can make it as wide as we want. And I'm going to call this thing, I'm actually going to change the font on this thing too, so it's got the same. We'll go to the font property here and make it bold and make it a 12, so that any data that's going to be in there is also going to be the same size as the data we're seeing. It's going to have its own scroll bar, so we don't have to make it any special size, but it'll contain a bunch of data in here, and we can scroll down to see any other data that's in this box at any given time. Before we go down to the buttons, let's go ahead and make a copy of this again and put it over here. And this time we're going to give this the name The Anything Database. And we'll just give it a name here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Go back to my form, my design rather. Didn't want to do that again. I want to just go into it and go into my properties right here. Right? You know, actually you can go through a drop-down box, which is kind of interesting to see. If you take this drop-down box, you can get right in there and you've got a whole box to play with. So we're going to call The Anything Database and hit enter on that. And there it is, it's finally changed. But we're also going to do something else. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to go to that font size. This is a 12. We're going to make this guy, say, a 16. That's pretty good. And we're also going to give it a background color. So we're going to stay on this and look for the back color. These are in alphabetical orders, you notice these properties. The back color right here is going to be, let's call it, we'll go with a system color, we'll go to a web color or a custom color. We'll pick out red and then put it up there like that. And so that changed. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do the back color. That was a mistake. So let's go ahead and let's just undo that. I'll show you the undo command right away. I can undo that. That gets us back to where we were. Nice to have that in handy. Instead, we want to make the data size we want, not the background color, but the foreground color is what we're actually looking for. And you'll find that in your font for color right here. So here's where we want to actually go in there and make that. We can jump to our custom colors and make this a red. And now it'll pop up red like that, so we can kind of see that, and we can kind of adjust it so it's there. Now it's time to put our buttons in place. So we're going to grab a button and we're going to put it down here, and we're going to name it right away. So we're going to go down to the text file it has, the text property it has. It says button 1 right now. We're going to call this add. And we're going to change that so that that button also has a font that is bold. And we'll stick with 12 again. I think we use 12 on this, so we're going to put it like that. And notice it doesn't quite fit, so we're going to actually increase the size of the button. We're probably not done. The biggest word we're going to use here is going to be the trigger for how we actually create this. But we need a bunch of these buttons. We can add, edit, delete, clear, load, save and file, save and exit. So we're going to go ahead and do a Control C on this and do a Control V to make copies of this. So we're going to edit, delete, clear, load, save, exit. Pop all those in here and lay them in here like this. They may not fit, but that's okay. And you're going to see some nice tools to make this work better. Right now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to increase our form size. So do that like this. Then we can grab all these guys right here like this. And notice that one is white, the rest are black with the dots around them. This is going to be the focal point of what we're actually going to align them to. And I can go up here to the format screen and I can align their tops. And now they're all in the same area. Now I can also format and I can make their horizontal spacing or their vertical spacing equal. Or I can make it bigger or whatever I want to do. We're going to do the horizontal spacing because we're going to go wide here, so we're going to make it equal. And there it is. It looks like that. Okay, they're tight. We're going to expand that a little bit, so we're going to go format, horizontal spacing, increase. And that stretches it out a little bit. And notice they're sliding over, so we're going to kind of move them like this. And let's do it one more time. Let's go ahead and format them and increase that horizontal spacing. Increase. And now it looks pretty good. And we're going to center that whole thing on the form horizontally. And now it's laying right in where we want it. Now we can go in here and start changing these guys. We're going to change the text property on this guy to be edit. And this one is going to become delete. And this one is going to become clear. And this one is going to become load. This one will become save. And this one will become exit. And they all seem to fit. And we need two more. So I'm going to take a copy of this and I'm going to paste it right up here and up here. And I'm going to lay it right on top of these guys. They're actually going to go behind them later, but right now we're going to set them up here to be in this spot. And this guy is going to become update. And this one is going to become cancel. So now we got our pieces in place. Later on we'll put them down below so that we can't see them. And then we'll work some magic with our code to make them disappear. I'll make these buttons disappear when we want to use the update and cancel. And these will be invisible when we're using this particular row. And they'll be in the same area. So this kind of puts it all together. It looks like we've got it in place. We've got all the pieces we're going to need. We've got our names on here. We haven't done anything to the code or anything like this. So we're going to go ahead and do a file save. We'll save all. And just to see if it looks good, we're going to run it real quickly. This will be a little test. To our start area. And up it comes. And it looks good. Buttons are all there. They have activity on them. You can type in this particular thing, as you can see. I can put stuff in there. You can't do anything here. You can't do anything up there. That's all stuff we're going to be working with in our program itself as we go on. We'll click out of this thing. I might want to actually, as long as we're here now, we've got the size of this thing that's going to fit. I might want to go ahead and increase this a little bit, and then increase this so it's matching that, and then take this whole set right here. Oops. And take this whole set right here, this one and this one. I'm holding the control key down, and I'm going to format, and I'm going to center on form horizontally. So now they're in the center there. And I can do the same thing with this. Actually, I want to take this thing and just move it over. Whoops. I want to move it over a little bit like this. Then I'm going to take all of these guys here and circle them, and I'm going to format and align their tops. So now they're all in the same, and then I'm going to go ahead and center them on the form horizontally. And now they're in place. So now our form looks pretty good. Pretty much what we want. We can still make adjustments to it later, but this is great. Do another file save, and that takes care of designing our form. This is really pretty cool. The thing runs. Sure, it doesn't do anything yet, but it runs. Just getting the computer to obey your commands is a giant leap forward. You are now in control. It's the next video we'll prep our form and for coding. That's just some of the minor tweaking. We'll give all our components meaningful names and we'll use it in code. See you next time. Thanks for watching. If you get a chance, please subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.